All right, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Episode 84 of Hello, Hello, the podcast. Joined once again by my lovely co-host, Jenz. How you doing today, Jenz?
I'm alright. How you doing?
I'm going all right myself as well. You know,
Good.
nothing too crazy going on over here. Just getting ready for a football game tonight. Got a Hills
Oh,
Cup game, a night game, which is always exciting.
is it a big one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big game. So hopefully we pull through.
Yeah,
we
good
should
luck,
be
have
all right.
fun.
We should be all right. You know, we're not too stressed, not too worried. But yeah, I do have some new boots that I got to break into, which is the thing that I'm more stressed about.
Oh,
'Cause
right.
usually when you wear a pair of new boots, they're like really stiff, and like I'm very much expecting my feet will be bleeding after. Cause,
Well,
yeah,
if
I
you're
haven't had
not
a chance to
bleeding,
wear
you're
them.
not trying hard enough.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, no pain, no gain, as
I'm
they
sure
say.
you'll be
So
fine.
yeah, no, we'll be all right. But no, what any fun stuff for you this week or today or tonight? You playing any football games later?
Mm, I did that yesterday, so not
Oh yeah.
not tonight.
You don't want to do it too many times.
Yeah,
a week,
yeah.
yeah.
Gotta spread
yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. What have I been doing? Honestly, nothing. The only exciting thing that we will talk about later is Spider-Verse. Like, that's the only
Yes,
exciting thing
yeah.
that's been happening out, in my life.
I think in the world, honestly, as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
That's
like just
true.
worldwide, that's just been the most exciting thing that's happened. There
Yeah.
really hasn't been too much, which is reflected as well by today's sort of news topics, which we'll get into a little bit. There
Mm.
isn't a lot of stuff today. So we have found what we can. But like Jen said, we will be doing both a spoiler and spoiler-free take of our thoughts on Spider-Verse right at the end. So you've got sort of time to dip out if need be if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, we do have a couple of things. First off, though, Jens, as we
Yes.
sort of always do, a little catch-up, you know? Anything you've been playing this week that has sort of stood out to you, I guess?
What have I been playing this week? I have been playing more Planet of Lana, which I am loving.
yeah.
I think you will love it too.
I have been very intrigued by it, so yeah, it is on the list.
It's on Game Pass, so get
all right,
on
sold.
it.
Sold.
Also on Game Pass that came out today was the new Amnesia game.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know Amnesia had a new game, so that's on Game
sure,
Pass.
I guess.
I want to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I've heard about it on like headlines is that it's their scariest one, so excited.
I mean, you have to kind of like step it up a notch these days.
Oh,
Like with
absolutely.
the caliber of like horror games that are coming out, you can't not bring out a horror game and it not be scary because that's
Yeah.
like, the one thing you need to do well, basically. But yeah, no, okay, yeah, I'll check that one out too.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's another single player.
I'd say
experience,
so.
like what the other Amnesias have been.
Yeah, I'd reckon so. And
would
yeah,
imagine so.
not much else, but I have sunk some more time into Zelda, so I really need to sink way more time into.
Yeah, I did pop in when you were streaming it, and I had to pop out very quickly because obviously you don't want spoilers. Like I'm still doing like my replay through of Breath of the Wild.
Of course.
To get myself sort of hyped up and ready for it.
How's
and
that
like
going?
I have heard that like it's not necessary to like play Breath of the Wild.
No.
Like ideally, like it's obviously like sure you can play it, but it's not like essential. But I still kind of want to play through it because I haven't played through it for a while. But
That's
no,
fair
it's
enough.
going well. I think up to this last Divine Beast, if I'm not mistaken.
You're pretty close.
So I'm getting there. But I think I need to like go around and level up some of my gear first before attempting it because it seems like it's a tough one. But no, yeah, doing that. And then I haven't been doing too much else. I've just been quite busy. Like uni is leading up. I've got my final exam on the 20th, so that's just around the corner. So
Of
I'm
this
studying for
month?
that. And yes, of this month. And then hopefully that's it for uni. Hopefully that's all done.
Oh shit! So if all things go well, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
Graduation, like next year or something, whenever they hold graduations. I'm not sure. I haven't asked anyone yet, but like I'll have to apply for it and, get all
Does
that
this mean Raammo
fun
streams?
stuff done. Hopefully, because now I
Or
got a little
job
bit more
time.
free time. But now it's probably more job time, right?
Yeah.
that sort of side of things.
Life.
So who knows? Yeah, who knows what'll happen all after it if I even do anything exciting with it in the first little bit, or if I just sort of take a little bit chill. But
Yeah.
yeah, but no. Other than that, I haven't been doing anything too exciting. Life's pretty boring at the moment.
Yeah.
Like
It's been
nothing
cold.
crazy. It's been cold. It's been getting a lot cold. Yeah, I did when I got the new boots. I also bought an undershirt specifically for the night games because like
Oh, of course.
they're fucking cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm preparing, but no. All right. Anyways, gents,
Mm.
should we jump into the news topics for this week? Because we like I said, well, there's not a lot, but
Yeah.
the
Our
ones we
lives
do
are
have,
boring.
there's a little
Not
bit in
much to
depth
talk
to
about.
them. No, unfortunately not. But what there is to talk about, Jens, is Microsoft is once again in the headlines, probably for something they don't want to be in this time,
Absolutely
because they've
not.
been fined a massive 30 million Australian dollars. Not a small little fee; it's quite a hefty one. Because yeah, it seems like Xbox just can't get any wins this year. They just
No.
haven't. They've been dealt bad card after bad card after bad card. They're still stuck in lawyer hell waiting for the acquisition of Activision and Blizzard to go through. They've now been stuck with this $30 million fine. Like, it's not a good time to be an Xbox fan or an Xbox employee. The fine as well
Mm-hmm.
for wrongfully collecting personal information of children through Xbox user signups without the consent of their parents. One of probably the worst things you can do when, making accounts is wrongfully collecting underage details and
What?
data.
Just anything underaged. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay away.
They have obviously violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, as it's more commonly known, which is like a worldwide sort of, like thing that protects children online, which is good. This order comes under the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, said that up until 2021, through the Xbox sign-up process, users were asked to begin entering their personal information, including their first and last name, email address, and their date of birth, before the system would identify whether or not they were actually under 13 and therefore required parental consent to continue creating an account. On top of the fine, Microsoft was also ordered to inform the parents who have not set up childhood accounts for their children that doing so will provide additional protections for them. So, like, you can usually limit how often they play, what services they have access to, what games they can play, what ratings they can play, so on and so forth. Also ordered to obtain parental consent for accounts or set accounts that were created before May of 2021 if the account holder is still classified as a child, i.e. under the age of 13, and then establish and maintain systems to delete within 2 weeks from the collection date. So they've got to go all the way back, this sort of data, and back to it within 2 weeks. All personal information that it collects from children for the purposes of obtaining parental consent, if it has not obtained parental consent already, and then to delete all other personal data collected from children after it is no longer necessary to fulfill the purpose for which it was collected. So under this COPPA Act, there is like time restrictions that you can hold this data for.
Yeah.
And basically, because it has been multiple years, that's got to go. Got to be deleted. The last thing I've got to do, and it's kind of a big one as well, is to notify video game publishers when it discloses personal information from children that the user is a child, which will require the publishers to apply COPPA's protections to that child. Because that's a big thing that not a lot of people like think about. Is like, obviously, like, yes, you create an Xbox Live account, you can now go and play Call of Duty online, but Call of Duty sees you as an adult, obviously, and so then might be sharing that information with advertisers or with other data, like so on and so forth, because you then go and you obviously accept Activision or Blizzard's and Call of Duty's privacy terms and terms of conditions and things like that to access their services. So it's, there's a lot of other like things that it can affect, not just on Xbox side, but also then, the game developers and publishers side of things. So, very well that it could also come down to affect them with a fine at some point, which would obviously then bite back, and Microsoft would be probably on the front for that as well, because it's obviously not the publisher's fault that this information wasn't disclosed to them in the first place. It was Microsoft's fault, So it's, but that's it. yeah, I just can't get over the fact that Xbox are just continually getting dealt L's.
I know.
You know, it
Like
feels bad, but
it'd be something that it must have just slipped their mind, or
yeah,
I don't.
I mean, in the article, like a spokesperson for Microsoft came out and was like, "Oh, it was a glitch in the system," or something, like, you know,
Oh,
like standard stuff that they always sort of blame
deflecting.
it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did blame it on like a glitch in the system, and they are already actively working towards rectifying,
Mm-hmm.
the mishaps, I guess. Which they obviously should. But yeah,
Yes.
$30 million. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I mean, maybe not a lot for them in the scheme of
Look,
things.
in the grand scheme of things, no, that's probably pennies to them. They're like, yeah, okay, sure.
But I
But
guess a good lesson, and good that it didn't snowball into something really bad where it's going to be way
True.
worse than
true. Well, it
just,
hasn't snowballed yet.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, not yet.
yeah. I think the investigations are still going on as to how far, or Microsoft's internal investigations are going as to how far it sort of affects and what accounts it affects and things like that. But it could be big as well for the accounts. Like, what sort of data are they going to be deleting? Is it like, obviously game save data and things like that are going to be fine, but
Yeah, I
what's
wonder
linked to
what.
these accounts that they're going to be deleting?
Yeah.
Like, but can you imagine if it was like game save data as well? Like little Timmy that's been playing his,
I mean, I think Timmy
Call of
won't
Duty games since.
remember
Probably not.
that.
But,
He's probably
like,
moved on to something else.
That's true. But like, when you get that nostalgia hit and it's like, yeah, I am going to go back and play Crash Bandicoot from 2009. And then you go and you're like, well, what the fuck? Where did it all go?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's right. Xbox deleted it because they accidentally took my
They
11-year-old data instead of my 14-year-old data, But
yeah, weird.
Anyways. Next thing on the agenda, Jens, Ubisoft has unfortunately as well. Again, Ubisoft has just taken L after L after L, I feel like, but they've suffered a big sort of game leak, but it's been from themselves. It hasn't been like some other third party has like accident. No, they just did it themselves. Ubisoft leaked recently one of its own upcoming games ahead of the upcoming showcase event as well. And it's not a small leak because someone over at Ubi accidentally uploaded, firstly, about 25 minutes of gameplay, which, yeah, okay, 25 minutes, that's kind of all right, I guess. But they also somehow managed to upload a whole 2-hour-long gameplay session and demo, which was captured on a PlayStation 5, which is no small feat. To be able to upload 2 hours worth of content.
That's a lot of content.
Like YouTube or like something takes a while. And then to publish said content is also like kind of interesting. Like, how do you forget that last step of setting the video as private or something and not like immediately I don't get it. The demo featured multiple camera perspectives, customization, as well as showcasing the in-game location of Hawaii for the upcoming new racing game that they've got, which is in their I forget what it was called now.
Showcase. No.
No. How did I not put this in there? This is a big one. The Crew. That's what it is. The Crew, which is like they've got a new one. It's like it looks very similar to what you'd expect like the Forza Horizon games to look like.
Yeah.
Like in a beautiful vista, like racing. There's a new Crew game coming out. Which is set in Hawaii, which we didn't get, I think, a title for. It wasn't in the leaks. It was more or less just gameplay. But yeah, kind of impressive to upload 2 hours worth of gameplay and then be like, oh shit, actually that shouldn't have gone up. That should go up later in the week. Obviously they've already pulled down the leaked content, which is understandable. So everyone's just gonna have to wait until the 13th of June at the lovely time of 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time to watch the showcase live. Something I will not be doing, Jens.
Same.
I will be sleeping at that time because that's a Tuesday as well, so like middle of the week or something. But yeah, I'm not waking up for a Ubisoft event. Sorry, Ubisoft.
No, yeah. I love Ubi, like Siege, I loved it, but no, 3 a.m. no.
The thing is, all of Ubisoft's Siege like announcements and things go live at Siege events. They never happen at like Ubisoft Forward events or anything. So
and it's just I find with trailers and stuff, there's no difference to watching it later in the day at your own time.
Seeing it, like, if I was to wake up at 7 o'clock, I've missed it by 4 hours. that's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know, the one that I did wake up for was the Sony one, but it was also because it was at a reasonable time. And Spider-Man was there, and as you can tell, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. So yeah, they're the ones that I sort of actively go to. But what we can sort of expect to see as well at this showcase is we're going to obviously get a new look at Assassin's Creed Mirage, which we knew was coming because
Yep.
they did say that they were doing that. Apparently, we're getting more Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope stuff, so maybe like a
Nice.
DLC or an expansion or something like that. They did one for the original Mario and Rabbids game, so I'm assuming they're going to do one again for this one. Skull and Bones is somehow going to be there. That game from probably about like 5 years ago that they're
We'll see.
somehow still working on. And then hopefully as well, a little bit of optimism on my side, but hopefully we also get an update on Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I don't know if you remember it, Jens, but it was announced like again around the same time that Skull and Bones was, but we really haven't heard or seen anything of it.
I do not know this name.
And Beyond Good and Evil 2, it was going to be, or is supposedly going to be a sequel, a follow-on from the original Beyond Good and Evil that came out in like the very early 2000s, which was actually a pretty good game. I managed to play. It was, I honestly enjoyed it. It's not like a giant IP like what your Star Wars is and things like that are, but it is like a Ubisoft IP. So it's cool that they were doing something with it, but yeah, we haven't seen or heard anything for it since that initial announcement, basically. So hopefully we get some news on that. I doubt it, but you know, we can be optimistic. And then you'll probably also get like, you know, Just Dance and
Oh,
like
that
you know,
game.
like yeah, you'll get things like that. It's a Ubisoft event. They're very, very similar each year. It may be Far Cry stuff. Who knows? But yeah, so I don't know how they managed to leak this sort of stuff. It's kind of impressive. Usually it's also a third party that does it and not someone
Themselves.
that manages the internal YouTube account themselves. But yeah.
I was going to say, like, do you think it was maybe a PR stunt? Because I don't know if you've seen, when we were doing the research, I did go across this news story. And I watched the trailer for the upcoming showcase, which is where I thought the leak came from. Because in the trailer, a person who was showcased watching the trailer was like, hey, what's that game? At the very end.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So could it be just a PR stunt? Because they kind of alluded and showed a little bit of the new game in their trailer for the showcase. I feel
like if you're going to hype up a game, it's not going to be the crew, you know?
True.
Like, I'm sorry, Ubisoft, but I feel like if you've got a big hitter, it's not the crew. It's arguably Assassin's Creed or Far Cry. That's true. Desperate times do call for desperate measures, but yeah, I don't think their stock prices are going to rise by 75 points when they announce the Crew 3.
Oh, you never know.
Like, the internet goes into a meltdown. I doubt it. So yeah, I mean, it could always be a PR stunt. It could just be some like subliminal hype. Obviously, we're talking about it.
It's just very hard to leak
PR,
2 hours of gameplay. So
yeah, that's the thing. You know, it is a feat. Which is, I guess why it's being talked about as well, because it's not something you see every day. Like that's a movie. Someone leaked a movie.
Yeah,
2 hours.
That's a long movie.
That's a long, that's a long gameplay demo. You know. But yeah, I assume as well that 2 hour long game. I'm assuming it wasn't like edited. I'm assuming they just like recorded a batch of 2 hour gameplay, and like they were meant to cut it down, but they didn't. You know, they just dumped the whole 2 hour thing up there. Which, I don't know.
Oh, hopefully there was like no cam or mic. That's
true, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure the footage is out there somewhere. I'm sure someone managed to pull it down at the time that was up there, but I'm not going to bother digging around for it. I'll wait till 3 a.m. Now, the last thing that we've got on our list as well, Jens, which is something that's going to affect you and a lot of your colleagues. It's, again... 3 companies, just L after L after L after L. But Twitch just recently announced some new ad rules, which are absolutely horrible for just any streamer, small, medium, or large, just horrible. So yesterday, Twitch rolled out a set of new rules regarding branded content streams or streams in which you promote a service or a game or something like that, you know. The rules are directly related to branded content that streamers add into their streams, which are a crucial source of revenue for multiple streamers. Multiple. And the new set of rules could very well mean major consequences for your favorite streamers like Jenz. I'm going to have them behind us as well because it's a little bit confusing when I just read it out.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll have, like, they Twitch for some reason, like, also paid an artist to create these little, like,
They're not the
cute,
very
like,
clear.
No, that's what I mean. Like, they're not very clear. And so, like, when you read it and you see it, like, associated with the image, you're like, okay, it kind of makes it a bit more clear, but it's also like, yeah. So they managed to pay this artist to create these cute little images, which somewhat better describe it, which we'll have behind us for those that are on YouTube. But the new branded content guidelines are as follows. On-stream logos are limited to only 3% of the screen size, which is minuscule. Zach Bussy, who you'll probably recognize, he does a lot of stuff on Twitter regarding like these announcements and like Twitch and things. He's not associated with Twitch in any way. He doesn't work for them, but he's basically like
he's like
Dexerto, I guess. Yeah. He's just like a news aggregator for all this sort of stuff that goes online and digital creator and platform marketplaces and things. I'll have his little snippet up behind it as well, but he did the math basically for a 1080p screen size. And, like, it's this little tiny black box in the upper right-hand corner. Like, it's so small as to how much 3% is. Because, like, 3% small. But, like, when you see it on the screen, it's so much smaller than what you'd imagine. It's tiny. Burned-in video ads are no longer allowed. Which also has been pointed out that this is also the case on YouTube. So, YouTube streamers also can't do this. But it's something that we've been able to do on Twitch for quite a while. And I think Barjo's done a couple of them where like he would like
play.
I think he's done branded content for like a movie that's coming up and like he had to play the trailer, like, but that's not going to be allowed anymore because that's considered burned in video ads. Burned in display ads are also not allowed anymore, which is basically like a giant banner. You can't have that anymore. And then audio ads are also not allowed. So having like a little audio pop up in the background saying like, hey, subscribe to Audible for 5% or something, like, can't have that anymore. Gone. What is allowed are channel page panel ads. So in the lower bit of your Twitch stream, like when you scroll down to the like About Us and you can see like the donate button or the sub button things, it can have things down there because that's like free game totally. Products in the background of your stream. So like what kind of me and Jen's have where we've got like a shelf behind us. We could have like, you know, Corsair thing back there. We could have like the Elgato sign back there or something like that. The Red Bull sign back there. Like those types of things are allowed. Links in chat via chat bots, that's totally fine still. Discussing and unboxing products. So if you were like sent something as a PR thing and you're allowed to open that on stream, that's still fine. And then playing sponsored games is still fine. Usually as long as you disclose that as well. Like usually hashtag sponsored in the title. I think they also have like this new little overlay you can put up in the corner now that's like, it's like a little tag that just sits there that says like this stream is sponsored by such and such, or, you know, which is also cool. But something that's big as well, which I kind of wanted to point out, which I think slipped under the radar in a lot of these like announcements, is streams that really haven't been considered, such as charity streams. So currently Awesome Games Done Quick is going on. They're a giant charity that all proceeds basically go towards multiple different charities. Usually they're sponsored by multiple different, you know, ad services, curators, companies, so on and so forth. That is going to suffer. Then show like award shows and game showcases like Summer Games Fest usually have sponsored content in them. Do trailers classify as burned in video ads? You know, like are they no longer, like things like that are no longer going to happen on Twitch, which obviously does bring a lot of viewership to the platform, you know, regardless of if it affects streamers and things, which is obviously the main sort of concern, but like things like that have been overlooked. So it's very, very interesting sort of move from Twitch. I don't see how they thought any of this was going to go down well. And then in Twitch fashion, it didn't. They got massive flack on the internet. Like everyone was like in the comments and everyone was like, it was, shocking. So not long after that blowback, Twitch then released a series of tweets clarifying its branded content policy, saying that the initial update was, and I quote, overly broad, but the rest of the company's tweets don't effectively clarify the situation. And obviously tons of streamers are still quite angry at them. Twitch have gone back and then said that they will be rewriting the guidelines to be clearer. And then they'll obviously alert us when that happens.
Yeah.
But who knows how long that's going to take, if these current ones are in place until then, what it might be. But it's, yeah. To be fair as well, like I said, this does also, like these sorts of things apply on YouTube as well, which is another giant streaming platform that's sort of, getting a lot more of a foothold in the market these days. So it's, yeah. Regardless of where you go, some of these things apply, but still.
It's interesting because, like, as a company for Twitch themselves, I understand because they can't control what is being advertised on their platform.
Correct.
So it could be something that maybe they don't have a very good relationship with, or something that's, a bit questionable. But so I understand that part, and I understand as a company, you're using their platform to make money, right? So should they get a cut, or should they, and maybe this is why they don't want these sorts of things to happen, is that they don't get anything out of it. But also on the other hand, I feel like there should absolutely be exceptions, such as charity streams and such, and like other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think generally ad companies can probably work around these new rules for the like video ads and stuff. Some maybe not, but 3% of the screen, I don't know how big it is. I need to see it.
Oh, it's let me see if I can pull it up as we
I should look it up.
It's quite small. Like it's nothing crazy.
Yeah. I just think anything Twitch says everyone hates on until it's like further clarified on what it is. Right now, I don't fully understand the whole everything specifically. So I'm kind of just waiting. Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I just sent Jen's like the sort of. Well, I'll have it up behind us again, but it is quite small. I
mean, my ad space is usually that. I don't ever want it to be bigger. But
see, I do the same as well. I feel like for everything, I kind of like to, when I very rarely stream, and it's obviously not my main job like it is for some of you guys, but like when I stream, I do prefer to have a very clean, like, sort of look to it.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I don't like having like names ticking across constantly. I don't like having pop-ups every fucking 17 seconds. I don't,
I know some people do.
But and that's probably not going to affect them as much as it might affect some others. Like Stephen, for example, Barjo, he has quite a heavy approach to like his AMD and his like Corsair things. Like that type of stuff is going to have to go, and it's also one of the things that I think for him specifically as well, people kind of enjoy. Like having that giant thing pop up over the top of the stream is quite amusing, and the way that it does it is, obviously very much his style. It's his flair. It's his thing that separates him from others. Like, as silly as it sounds that it's just advertised content, like it does separate him from, the next person on the stream list that's like just got their standard, I'm sponsored by Corsair, like, thanks Corsair, So it's, things like that it's going to affect too. But
I'm curious to see this new update of them rewriting the guidelines, because I just need to.
And the thing too, like I've seen a bunch of streamers memeing on it already, in the sense that like you can have
everyone's memeing on it.
You can have things behind you, like I said, but like people are just going to take that to the next level. Like someone's going to go out and buy a 65-inch TV and just put the Corsair logo on it behind them.
That's the thing. People take it like. They meme on Twitch so hard. It's just like, your logo is probably not even that big anyways. Like, in the first place.
Twitch do make it a bit easy to meme on them.
They do.
I have to say. Like,
but people love hating on Twitch. And I'm not like, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating Twitch. I don't think they're an amazing. No, I'm not defending them at all. I just, I want to see it practically and like at a, like both sides, and I just need to fully understand it before I can even have a proper opinion on it. But at this stage, it's like, well,
I think the good thing, like, I think this is going to affect a lot of smaller streamers a lot more than some of the other changes that Twitch has done recently as well, is because these smalls, like if you're an affiliate, like what
Mm.
I am, I don't have access to the Twitch bounty board, right?
I mean,
So
to
like
be
as a
fair,
partner, you do get, and like, yeah, it's not the same
only
for
I think
everyone, like
EU
depending
and
on.
NA do.
Correct. That's the thing as well at the moment, is like it's not even rolled out the entire world. So like at the moment, like if you were to try and get sponsored content through Twitch, even
Yeah,
that's hard.
yeah,
Like,
that is hard.
you know, like I barely stream, right? Barely stream, but I got an email. Where is it? I got an email like a week or two ago about doing sponsored content for,
Raid?
what is it? Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah.
Hey.
Who is obviously, like, everyone knows Raid Shadow Legends as one of the ones that do a lot of sponsored content. Obviously, they're fucking
Yes.
everywhere. But yeah, like I barely stream, like at all, if ever.
You should just do it.
And they were like, "Hey, I'll be upfront as well." They were like, "Make up to $300." They were offering to pay me $300 to do a Raid Shadow Legends.
That's an asterisk
stream.
of signups.
Yes,
but
yeah. It says make up to, like, $300. So it is all dependent, because like I know how Raid does it, where it's like a lot of the time it is like how many downloads you get via it and things. That's where you get most of the sort of stuff. But like you can see, like even like a very, very, very small streamer like myself is still getting these sorts of sponsored content. Which you might not be able to find through Twitch. Like I have no means to be able to find that through Twitch.
Yeah.
Like on their bounty boards, or like even through their internal things,
Yeah, they don't help with that at all.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is I think as well, what a lot of people are sort of giving flack for is the fact that they're taking away a means for a lot of people that to make an income off this thing with no like better solution.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's the thing. It's like there's no solution, or like, hey, well, if we want this, but instead you can do this. It's like, no, yes, that's it.
Yeah,
because
that's the thing as well. It's like that Twitch bounty board, Twitch gets like a cut of, obviously, because they're putting the bounty. So like that's obviously the reason that they're doing this is so that they can, like you said, get more of a cut of these sponsored contents. They can control what sponsored content is shown on their platform and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's not offering that to everyone before taking away the prior means of making an income is kind of a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I'd be keeping my ear close to the ground to see what they do with this, like when the rewrite comes out, what sort of things are going to change regarding it, if anything. But yeah, it'll be interesting to follow, as all things Twitch do are.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
It's good
no
content.
matter what.
Yeah, it's good content. Yeah. All right, gents. We got through all the boring, like a lot of that stuff was business related.
Very business.
We're very business oriented podcast over here. But now let's get to the fun stuff, Jens. I want to know your thoughts on Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Spoiler free.
Excuse me, it's Across the
Spider-Verse. Sorry, that's yeah. The naming is confusing.
It is. It is. It's Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse, and it's like Spider-Verse Into the Spider-Verse, and the next one is Beyond. Anyways, yes, non-spoilers. Love it.
Spider-Verse, the latest that came out a week ago.
Love it.
What are your thoughts on it?
Cannot fault it at all.
Yeah.
Full stop. Watch it. It is the best thing I've seen this year.
I would have to say so as well.
Oh, it's so good. I can't stop thinking about it.
Obviously not biased, but yeah.
Just as a piece of film and animation, it's everything you want it to be, and it's so rare that a sequel is good, like compared to the
toe-to-toe
first
with
one.
with its predecessor.
If anything, I think it's better than the first one.
Honestly, I'd say so as well.
Yeah. Like, I haven't rewatched the first one since it came out. I want to do a rewatch. But
bro, please go back and watch it. Holy shit.
Yeah, I got to rewatch it.
We saw it on Thursday. We saw it on opening night here in Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
And we rewatched it, I think, on Monday night or Sunday night or something.
Good.
Because it's not that long, obviously. It is animated, the first one, again. And it's like your standard theoretical runtime for an animated movie these days. Like, it's an hour and 40 minutes or something like that, just under 2 hours. But the second one currently holds the record for the longest runtime of an animated movie ever as well. So they're really stepping it up a notch. But no, we watched it beforehand, and it does just make it a little bit easier to sort of follow along.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've seen it on TikTok as well. But it's not a spoiler as well, but like the way that they set up the second one in the first one, without us even realizing what they were setting up. Like it's, oh my God. I'll do it like in the spoiler sort of part.
I gotta rewatch
the way
it.
that, oh yeah, like I want to go back honestly and rewatch it again to try and like find all these little things, because like you watch the first one, you're like, okay, yeah, that was an interesting choice, but like it makes so much sense when you go back and watch the second one, and you're like, holy shit, that's why they did, like, it was great.
Cool.
But no, I'm
cool.
very similar to Jen's, where I absolutely adored the second one. I honestly will go back and watch it again, probably at some point,
easily.
like if I find some time. Like it's such a good movie. I was just, as again, like I'm biased. I've got a massive Spider-Man collection. I've read the comics since I was like 5 or something like that. I have such a love for the character, and so the whole time I was just sitting there with the biggest grin on my face, because I was seeing all of these Spider-Men that you've only ever seen in comics or in like a very niche reference in a game, or they haven't had any mainstay on the big screen because it's always just been Peter Parker. So being able to see like Spider-Man India up there, being able to see like Spider-Woman make her first like real on-screen kind of appearance in a major like film, being able to see Spider-Gwen be like this popular in this day and age, like it's great. But then like when you get to the Spider Society part, and I'm like, that's
your
Future
head
Foundation.
must have
That's like
blown off.
bombastic. That's like he's from fucking 2095. Like it was great. I was probably the worst person to sit to in the cinema because I was just listing up all these random niche Spider-Man. But and like just the little details that they did as well throughout it that made it feel like a comic. Like
should we get to this?
Like it's not a spoiler, but like if anyone's ever read a comic, like if someone references something, like in the bottom part of that panel, it'll have like this was referenced in Amazing Spider-Man number 19. Like you can go back and read that, like things like that they just did that was so. I just adored it. Adored it. But yeah, we'll go into the spoiler part as well, because it gets harder and harder to talk about it more and more without being spoilerific. So I guess as well, I'll start off by going into the things that they kind of forewarned us about, right? So I don't know if you remember much of the first one, but when Miles sort of gets pulled into the big collider at the start, where Spider-Man of that universe was fighting the big Green Goblin and Kingpin was trying to set off the collider. He's already been bitten by the spider at that time, right? So he has the Spider-Man powers. He comes across Peter Parker of that universe on that little scaffolding, and when Peter looks at him, his spider senses go off. Then it flips to the camera to Miles, and Miles' spider senses go off, but it's actually his Prowler senses, because in this universe, he was obviously meant to be the Prowler, one of the things you find out in the movie. And his spider senses for a second are green and purple, which are the colors of the Prowler. It then, after a couple of seconds, changes to blue and red, the colors of Spider-Man's spider senses, because his fate changes in the film. Like instead of the Earth 42 Spider-Man being bitten, or the Earth 42's Miles being bitten, this universe's Miles is bitten. So his fate changes from being the Prowler in that universe to being Spider-Man, which is what sets off all of the like anomalies and things like that starting to happen. Like he kind of fucks with the Spider-Man timeline. It's a non-canon event, as they say. The thing that they forewarn us about as well is like when the spider sort of falls down in the sewer, it glitches once or twice, which is obviously the sign of it being an anomaly. Which I like, you really see it in the movie and you like kind of pass it off as like, oh, okay,
you pass it off.
Like it's a spider that's been infected by something. Of course, it's going to be a bit like, twitchy, a bit weird, a bit, all this sort of stuff. And so then you realize that, it was actually the sign of it being an anomaly, like not from this universe. How did it get here? And so yeah, like just those little things. There's a bunch of other things I could go into
I
as well about
bet.
how they forewarned us. Like you could go back and find like there's little references, like when he falls from trying to uh shoot his webs for the first time, and he falls like on the taxi, like on the ground. He also takes off a couple of numbers from the building, and the numbers are 42, referencing like
Oh.
Earth 42 or like the universe 42. There's a bunch of little things that happen throughout it.
Oh, I have to watch it.
But it's and like just going back and seeing it and being like, holy shit, like it was right under our nose the entire
Yeah.
time, and we had no idea. But yeah, I
Very cool.
it is such a good movie, and it like the first one, it lends itself well to rewatches because there's obviously a lot going on in it. Like going back to rewatch it, you'll more than likely find things that you missed the first time.
Totally.
Which is kind of why I want to watch it again. Also want to
I
wait for them to fix the mixing until I go and watch it again, I think. But yeah.
I think I might like wait till streaming, or I just can't trust the cinemas right now with the audio mixing. It's just so weird. I was
It did
so
trip me out.
impressed with all the different animations and art styles they've mashed into this. And I don't know if it was the same in
Yes.
the first one because I haven't rewatched it in a long time. But it just felt like they went beyond from what they did in the first one when it came to like the amount of artists they use, I feel.
So, no, in the first one, it was all
Oh.
done in the exact same art style, and it's done for a very specific reason as well. Each Earth in the comics is obviously slightly different from
Yeah.
the previous one, or each world in the comics is slightly different from the previous one. And in the comics, obviously, there's multiple different artists, there's multiple
Yeah.
different writers, there's multiple different, pencilers, there's so many different things who all give their own sort of touch and style to it. There's also as well the person that usually does the art for the comics doesn't do the coloring. Usually there's both a pencilist, there's then an artist, and there's a colorist, and there's like a bunch of other things. Someone does specifically the text, someone does specifically, the strip layout. Like there's a bunch of things that go into it. Each version of Spider-Man has their own artist typically, or has done by a different artist, and those comics then have a different look. So that's why in this second one, when you go to these different universes, they're done by a different like animator, or they have a different look and feel to them because it's referencing the comics in being done by a different artist. Which I picked up on almost immediately because the opening scene is obviously set in Gwen's universe.
Yeah.
And when they started coming out with these Spider-Gwen comics, it was like the art style was very distinct. It was like pastel-y. It was very like
God, I loved it.
watercolory. It looked like glossy and glassy. Like it had a weird sort of look to it. Very different than like traditional Spider-Man comics. And so yeah, like that was the first thing I picked up on. And then when you like see the Vulture from like the Renaissance Earth
That was
come
so
in, and he's all
cool.
done. It was done like on paper and things, like instead of being an actual character. Like Spider-Punk, any universe he goes into, he's like stickers that are slapped up on the screen.
Apparently
instead of being
him- It apparently took them like a year to animate him or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. Like with the first one, that's why we had, I think, such a long like lead time between the first and the second one, is because they obviously had to do all these different types of animations. Whereas in the first one, they were a little bit less like the first one still took a long time to make, don't get me wrong, because they also had to slow the animation style down to make it seem stuttery and like comic booky like, instead of it being super slick and flowy and things like that. But yeah, it was one of the things I first picked up on.
So
and I was like, damn, it was so good they did that. But also, do you know the little Lego
I
Spider-Man
read
scene
this.
was done by a 14-year-old animator or a stop motion artist? And I was like, that's fucking incredible.
I
like,
know,
that
right?
is such a cool little detail.
It was such a funny, like,
it's probably one of my favorite
moment.
scenes in the movie as well. Because
really?
I'll slide over to the, like, I have a giant Spider-Man Lego set in my cabinet behind me in the Spider-Man shrine. Like, I absolutely love Lego and I love Spider-Man. They're two of my favorite things.
It was a great.
And so being able to see him pop up, and then like when Miguel O'Hara is like, "You're one of our best Peters," I was like, "That's fucking great!" I love it. But no, I think the directors saw, like, I think he remade the trailer or something, or a
Yeah,
scene
they
from the
saw his
original Into the
work.
Spider-Verse, and were like, that's actually kind of cool. And so they emailed him or his parents and were like, hey, we want to see if your son would be able to do,
Isn't
you
that
know.
amazing?
And I
Like,
was like, that's so
as
cool.
that teenager, oh yeah, I'd be.
Imagine going to high school and being like, yeah, I got a scene in the new Spider-Man movie. What of it? Like,
Yeah, I know.
that's great. Oh,
Awesome.
yeah. Big ups
Just
to him though.
talking about the Gwen, because yeah, pretty much the movie starts in her world for like the first like intro
The
10
first
minutes.
like 10 or 15 minutes, yeah.
I the amount of times I cried in this film, I couldn't believe it. I got so emotional, not like sad, just emotional. Like
It's a very emotional film, yeah.
Gwen's world with the watercolors and the way it changes and how the world that they've created around her depicts her emotions. And it's just so beautifully done that I just like that first intro. I started crying, and then like the title card came on. I was like, "Fuck yes, this is gonna be such a good film."
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
It is very emotional because you get like a little bit more backstory in like the other Spider-Man that we met in the first one. Like we got obviously like little 30-second snippets where they were like, okay, let's start from the beginning again. And it like goes over their like quick origin. But it was pretty much their origin. It didn't like show like more of them basically. Obviously because the first one very heavily revolved around Miles. Where in this one, you honestly don't see Miles until probably about the first like in 20 or 30 minutes into it, you know? Like it shows Gwen for the first part.
There was a lot of Gwen.
Heavily.
I loved it.
But yeah, again, for obvious reasons, because you kind of as well in this see the relationship between Miles and Gwen sort of fill out a lot more, you know? But yeah, it's there's so many little things. We could sit here for fucking hours and talk about this movie.
You know what we should do when it does come out on streaming? We should all just like Netflix party watch it and just Easter egg hunt.
Please.
It'd be so good.
Please. I'm so down for
We're
that.
such nerds. Anyways, yeah, we had to stop, call it there, or we will talk much longer.
Yeah, true.
About
when
this film.
I'll be honest, I was a bit worried about the time length of today's podcast because there was like only a couple of things for news stuff. And then when we got to the last topic, we were at like the 25-minute mark. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a cute little 30-minute length podcast. No, we're at 50 minutes.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. We could do a whole podcast next month on just Spider-Verse. Like,
it's such a amazing thing. You have to pre-order the art book, just by the way.
100%. I'm getting it. There's a bunch of things that I've seen coming out surrounding this that I'm like, I gotta get that.
We already bought the. I bought the Chinese poster.
Yep. Teddy Fresh is doing obviously not just Spider-Man related, but Teddy Fresh on Friday is doing a Marvel collection, and it does feature some Spider-Man stuff in there. I've seen some of the little announcements they've been doing. I'm setting my alarm for 2:55 because it goes live at 3 a.m. I think I'm that excited for some of the stuff that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna buy some.
The hoodie is sick.
There's so many cool things that are coming out. Like it's just superhero fan in general. You're thriving at the moment.
Oh,
you know?
For sure.
But yeah, all right. We should wrap it up before we do end up talking for another 10 minutes about random stuff. But so, is there anything you want to add on before we do wrap up for the week, Jenz?
No, nothing for me.
Yeah, no, nothing from me either. So, as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, do make sure you hit the like button down there. And we should hopefully see you all next week or the week after. Bye-bye.
Bye.